I had another, I've been kind of exploring channeling lately, and I feel like we're kind of moving into a time when, because I mean, whenever you're in the vortex, you're channeling, right? Because you're connected with your source.
Precisely.
So exactly.
You're seeing your world through the eyes of source.
Totally. And I feel like we're moving into a space where that channeling as we all move into being in the vortex more and more, we're all just channeling in everyday life, and it becomes this a lot more,
and think about the cooperative component that you are becoming, and now law of attraction blending you with all of these other cooperative components, and what a stimulating, leading edge, powerfully focused, exhilarating co-creation that is.
Definitely. And I've been kind of exploring that. I know time's up, but with relationships and that realization that, like, I feel like that even attachment, like we have this finite amount of love, and that in our relationships we have to have these bonds, like kind of be covalently bonded, because my love, like the piece of the economic pie, for instance. But it's like we have that with our love. We have this infinite source of love, and the whole idea that like our ego attaches to these relationships that have to be contained or maintained in some sort of artificial way has been an interesting exploration. And I feel like that, along with like the channeling as we all move into this space, there's that fear around relationships needing to be this thing that is just an ego attachment that's kind of lessening. And I've been enjoying it, but then feeling too, is there a benefit, or, I mean, is there something about that maintenance of a relationship and doing the work of maintaining alignment, even if that there might be enough unwanted and you might want to be exploring in other ways? Is there that expansive benefit in maintaining? Or I guess it doesn't really matter, that you can just do whatever you want.
If you let the relationship that matters most be your relationship with your inner being,
exactly,
then everything else takes care of itself. But look at it this way, because you said a lot of wonderful things that stirred up a lot of stuff. So look at it this way. So through the exploration of relationships, you have identified who you are and what you want. And it's general and basic, but really, 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 really good stuff. You want to always be expansive, and you want to hook up with others who are also. And in hooking up with those who are expansive, the potential for joyful moment after joyful moment is just rampant. Where if you hook up with somebody who's not expansive, who's not in alignment, then you're going to have a rocky ride. And even though you can potentially get into alignment, even if they're not, when you are in a relationship with those who are in alignment, then the potential for soaring is just so much greater. So you don't have to spend all of your time making that right, because instead you get this exponential expansion thing going on. So here's the most significant thing to say about relationships. If you have let your relationship with your inner being be dominant for a while, enough that it comes easily to you, so that you really care about how you feel, and you're making sure that you are in alignment and feeling good most of the time. Law of attraction must bring you with another who is that way too. And when two come together who understand the vortex and who are blissfully seeking that alignment there, who understand that there's nothing to push against. Isn't it wonderful to be in a relationship with someone and you not be in the vortex, and them not care that you're not in the vortex? Totally. Because they get the whole deal. They understand that you're having a step one moment, so they don't freak out and they don't hang their happiness on what you do about this step one moment or not. In other words, two people, or in an environment where you're co-creating with a lot of people, if you are co-creating with those who understand their personal relationships with the vortex, then you are setting yourself up for blissful co-creating. And if you are interacting with anyone who doesn't understand the vortex, or who is not committed to being aligned with it as much as possible, then you are setting yourself up for a lot more step one moments, which is all right. It just means you're asking for more expansion. So we said earlier that it's the tip of the iceberg is what's always there for you. It is just so much more delicious to live life from your perspective of full view, seeing the world through the eyes of source. We liked how you tied that in the vortex alignment with your inner being with the idea of channeling, because in a situation like this, where Esther and you too are allowing the fullness of who you are to flow. You in your question are as aligned as Esther in the answer that is flowing through. It's a co-creative dance. And the fact that you're asking the question doesn't mean you're out of the vortex. That's the point that we're wanting to make. Do you get that?
Yeah.
The fact that you're asking the question doesn't mean it's part of the co-creative dance. It's possible to have this step 1, step 2, step 3 process that's flowing so rhythmically that you reach the point where you don't even want to define whether this is the out of the vortex part or whether it's in the vortex part, because all of it is part of the expansion part, and the potential for joy is always there. It's an instantaneous shift of thought away. Yes?
Yeah.
Good time for a segment of confession.